My dad had gotten a Mr. Beer kit, sat on a shelf for a couple years. I put this together and followed the directions, had my dad taste it, and he's like, son, this is like literally the worst thing I've ever tasted.
What kind of color do we want? We want it super pale, take advantage of that malt's characteristics, or something with more color to it?
Darker than that?
I mean, even that has,
or somewhere between
here
and here.
Like
it was all Washington Select, and it was
a nice
about that color, maybe a hair darker, but it came out pretty light colored.
Beer's fun to make, and the people you work with and people who drink it are generally good people. It was really drinkable. It was one malt, the Washington Select, and just Cascade hops, and it had actually a lot of complexity to it, even though it had only 2 ingredients, 4, but everything came through.
We've got a great group of brewers here together to come up with this wonderful recipe featuring all Washington malt and Washington hops.
It's a question. I mean, are we using the Schooner exact yeast? I presume we can use whatever we want.
Collective creativity can sometimes be a difficult thing, but you know, we've got a great friendly community here.
I think keeping it simpler, even doing the 1 malt, would work.
It's a magic creative process. You have all these different ingredients that you can work with. You're thinking about the tastes and the flavors. I approach creating a recipe based on what do I want this to taste like at the end? How am I going to get there? What can I use to get there?
I think of it as more of a craft than an art.
You had to learn all the science behind it to make it an art. And that science has to be there as a tool if you want to take your art further.
And it's interesting to get a bunch of people in the room because, you know, there are fashions and there are tastes that we all sort of diverge from.
We can do the stone soup kind of thing and throw in a little bit of this and that from each of us.
Part of what's so rewarding about brewing is you get to follow the entire process. You get the ingredients, you come in, you combine them, you follow it through the entire process. When you have that glass in your hand.
I want to see who would like to be that or paler or that or darker.
I like paler.
I go that or paler.
There's such a huge variety of things you can do with beer. You know, it's 4 ingredients, but it's combining those ingredients: malt, hops, yeast, and water. So depending on the hop varieties, the different toasts of the malt.
What if we toasted our own Washington Select malt to create our color? Kind of go old homebrew style.
I don't like that idea. That's very Forhan-esque.
But just do a really toasted Washington malt.
We get the color, we don't get crystal sweetness, which seems like we probably don't want too much of.
I vote for no smoke.
No smoke.
Okay,
No. Toasting it. No
anchovies. This will be a neat concept.
I don't think 30 pounds is too much.
I don't think it's too much.
There are professionals that actually roast malt for a living.
Why aren't they here? I'm actually going to use my popcorn air popper.
There you go.
I think a lot of things come together. You have the right recipe, you know, formulation, and I think it's just knowing your yeast and hoping that you have all the right different recipe ingredients that are coming together in the right way, and it's handled properly, and you did your job well.
And you set up a fermentation. Yeast is eating sugar, and you can watch it happen. And you're just kind of taking part in an ancient tradition.
Well, do we want 30 pounds or do we want to do 50 pounds and then use what we want? Just so we have 50 pounds there.
Yeah.
We're all going to be there, we look at it.
It makes sense to do a bed.
It was all 1 malt, Washington Select from Great Western, and we had 8 or 10 different people, each toasting 5 pounds. Everybody's toast was a little bit different.
I kind of like the variance of different roasts and different ovens.
I think we kind of like the toasting the Washington Select idea. Everybody like that? Sort of a homemade aspect, which is cool.
I was not expecting this beer to be as copper colored as it is. I thought it was going to be much lighter. The caramely malt flavor I was not expecting. It's going to be there.
So I mean, you guys are more current on current hop varietals than I probably am.
I like using Chinooks as a bittering hop if I'm going to be making a kind of a fruity hop beer.
You can get a lot of bitterness from late additions as well. I mean, how long do you settle?
30 minutes.
It'll be in the high 2s. If we do 152, if we do 153, it'll be in the low 3s. I mean, just that temperature difference right there gets it between, you know, up over that 3 margin.
This beer the fact that we're not just focusing on the hop. We're looking at malt, we're looking at gravity, we're looking at alcohol percentage. We want it to be balanced, we want it to be appetizing, but you don't just want it to be hoppy.
Given all these wonderful ingredients, I'm making the beer. I'm gonna start milling the grain. If you guys want to play with this.
You know, the only reason...
Steve, you want to hand the grain up to me?
To make a beer with all Washington Select malt and this hop combination, I think it's going to turn out to be a great beer.
The best beer you ever had, available to you in the world is available to you in your backyard. And I think that that is what makes this market cutting edge.
It's going to be rich and complex and deep with history and meaning, and will be something that everyone remembers for a long time.
What about the taste?
Didn't I just describe that?
People love Seattle because it's so Seattle-y, And people love beer because it's so beery. And when you have it being both Seattle-y and beery in one area, it just makes it extra cool.
Maybe we should consider, something sideways.
Well, the marijuana law is going to pass, so maybe.
I saw propane, I think it already did.
Dick, you're going to see the wheels turning. What do you think?
Too bad this stuff has to be nationally licensed, otherwise that was a great
All right,
idea.
who's going to pull me up for that?
Bob's beer.